What's up, sports bettors? I've already given out 3 player prop picks for tonight. So I have 1 hockey player prop and 2 NBA picks. But guess what? I have another 3-leg parlay, and it's 3 different sports, I believe, or maybe it's just 2 sports. We definitely have NBA as well as an NFL pick for Thursday Night Football, and we're playing on Underdog Fantasy, right? So what's really interesting about this platform is it basically is just a fixed parlay platform. So any 3 picks you select, overs, unders, whatever, you're gonna be betting $1 to win 6. Doesn't matter what 3 picks you select. You're gonna see $1 bet to win 6. So essentially, that means the implied odds, betting $1 to win 6 for 3 picks, any 3 picks, they're charging you the implied juice of minus 122 for a 3-leg parlay. So basically, when we're looking at Underdog Fantasy, we should always assume for a 3-pick or a 5-pick entry that we're getting minus 122 implied odds. Now for a 2-pick entry, you're getting worse implied odds. You're getting minus 137, which is why you'll notice I rarely am placing 2-pick entries. Basically always going to be 5-pick or 3-pick entries on Underdog, for the most part just 3 picks. So because we're getting better implied odds. So how do you use OddsJam? Which, by the way, it's free to browse odds for any game you want to look at. There's a bunch of different ways you can browse odds as well. You can, first of all, just browse for one specific game. So as a sharp bettor, what I like to do here is just look for where I can find value on Underdog. And sometimes there's some great value, right? Like Marcus Smart, we definitely don't want to take him in our Underdog entry over 11.5 points. Why? Well, you can get this plus money, plus 100 on DraftKings. So why would we want to bet this in a 2-pick entry at the implied odds of minus 137? That would be a horrible idea. Or at minus 122. It would make no sense, right? Because you can get plus money on DraftKings. Making money sports betting is all about finding value, finding edges, scanning the market for discrepancies, right? OddsJam has millions of odds, updating in real time. Lines are always moving, sharp actions coming in, weather's changing in the NFL, so you'll see NFL lines, NFL totals move. So it's your job as a sharp bettor to be constantly watching the market and looking for value. You're kind of like a savvy investor. Sometimes there will be value in the NFL. You're going to want to place NFL bets. So the first pick I went with is an NFL play with a 3.51% profit margin. So you can see on OddsJam, what I'll oftentimes do is just filter to only see Underdog Fantasy. You can also filter if you only want to bet on certain leagues or sports or whatever. But regardless, since I knew I wanted to make this video on Underdog Fantasy, I'm just filtering to see Underdog. So the first play I found, which looks incredible, is Smith under 4.5 receptions. So we have the Eagles versus the Texans. And I think the Eagles, they're like minus 800 on most sports books. So they are massive favorites, which you can see on the OddsJam, screen right here, where you can, again, it's just another way of browsing data. OddsJam, the whole goal is to give you, a Bloomberg terminal with all the data updating in real time. Because all these sports books have different odds, you can ruthlessly compare lines between one another and find value, right? So this first pick is incredible, right? We're getting Smith under 4.5 receptions at minus 122 implied odds. So why is this bet so good? Why do we love this play? Well, look at all the sports books. They're pricing this from minus 148 to minus 169, right? So we're just getting so much value at minus 122. And you have to remember, Underdog, they're not changing your payouts depending on if you select the overs or the unders. You always see 1 to win 6, right? Overs, unders, 1 to win 6. So that's completely different than the sports books, right? Where on the sports books, you can see right here, if I create this parlay, it comes out to plus 218. Jaden Ivey over 13.5 points, and then, Eric Gordon under 12.5 points, plus 218 for an over and an under. But if we change it to this, and we take the under and the over here, we're getting plus 290. So the odds change, right? The payout changes. And that's because sportsbooks imply win probabilities through their odds, right? So the fact that Smith under 4.5 receptions is heavily juiced means all the sports books think the under is a lot more likely to occur, right? It just makes sense, right? As a short bettor, you're like a savvy investor, you're looking for value. And when all the sports books are pricing something minus 148 to minus 169, math aside, we can go through how to back out your profit margin here in a second, but it should just jump off the page to you and be like, yeah, seems like pretty dang good value that we're able to pick up on Underdog Fantasy. All the sports books think the under is much more likely to occur, which is why they have the under a lot more juiced. You can see Caesars has it plus 123, minus 169. So if we put that into a no vig odds calculator, what this really cool calculator will do for you is it takes a sportsbook's market and removes the vig, right? So that's how sportsbooks make money, right? They charge the juice. So on Underdog Fantasy, you're getting implied odds of minus 122. You have to bet $122 to win back 100, right? On both the over and the under. So that's the juice, right? That's the juice. If we go to FanDuel, for example, so if I take a look right here at college football lines, you'll see most of the time they have these point spreads at minus 110 odds. If I zoom in a bit on FanDuel, everything's minus 110. For most of these games, at least, minus 110, minus 110 is the most common form of juice on sportsbooks. They're forcing you to bet 11 to win 10 for both the over and the under, right? Bet 11 to win 10. So that's the sportsbook's advantage on you. They're forcing you to bet that extra dollar, bet 11. You're not betting 10 to win 10, you're betting 11 to win 10, right? So you want to remove the juice on the sportsbooks to see what the true odds are with no vig, right? If the sportsbooks weren't trying to make money, what are the true odds with no spread, right? With no juice in the market. And that's called the fair odds or the true odds. So according to Caesar's model, Smith under 4.5 receptions has a no vig line of minus 140. So basically Caesar's model, all the action they're taking in the market, they're pricing Smith under 4.5 receptions as minus 140 true odds, which means it's 58.35% to occur, right? So because they're giving you worse payouts on the under, it's because the under is a lot more likely to occur, right? And we're finding value, we're finding an edge being able to grab this at minus 122 when all the bookmakers are all telling us, hey, this should be like, minus 160-ish. We're getting it minus 122. So first play I love. Next, I have Horford under 9.5 points. Clear value, as you can see right here. And then finally, I have Brunson. I'm playing it again. Under 1.5 made threes. So you can take a look right here. And here are my 3 picks. I'm betting $250 to win 1.5K. Let's make some money, guys.